Hey guys, it's Justin, and welcome to my Intro to Cinema video blog project. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And no, I'm not talking about the Kardashians. I'm actually talking about a very classic film that came out in 1966 that was directed by Italian director Sergio Leone. The film, which is in Italian, is called Il Bueno, Il Brutto, Il Cattivo, which sounds a little bit cooler in my mind, but whatever. And it's a very classic Western film that's actually the third part in a trilogy behind the movies A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few More Dollars. Now, the film, like I said, is a Western, and not only did it symbolize the Western genre, but it also expanded its horizons and created new opportunities to expand on it. The story is about three gunslingers who, in the film, were actually labeled the good, the bad, and the ugly. They fight, they cheat, they kill, and otherwise just race to find the secret stash of Confederate gold, which they say equals up to 200,000, which by today's standards, I actually looked it up, is $11 million. So it's kind of understandable why they go through so much in the film. Uh, so in between fighting themselves, they also get caught up in chaotic gunfights. They get caught up in city hangings, Civil War battles, and being trapped in prison camps. So it's a lot of stuff going on in that movie. I mean, the movie is 3 hours long, so a lot of stuff going on in the midst of all these gunfights and hangings and just general chaos. The themes in this film, in my personal opinion, have a lot to do with religious archetypes. I mean, the simple fact that the characters are actually labeled the good, the bad, and the ugly kind of serve to what they eventually represent, in my mind, of representing like Christ, Satan, and original sin. For example, the character Angel Eyes, who is the bad, is a very sadistic character, kind of satanic in a way. He kills a lot of people in the film. Particularly, he kills the people that hire him to kill other people, which is really weird. He even tells some of his victims that once he's been paid, he will complete a job no matter what. And right before he killed his employer, which is really weird. To me, that kind of symbolizes the whole don't do a deal with the devil because he'll find a way to screw you over, and that's pretty much what Angel Eyes does in the film. Also, the character Blondie, or the man with no name, as he's described through most of these movies, is probably the Christ character, just because no matter what's been done to him or what he's doing, he always finds a way to do the more straight and narrow path kind of choice. He always does the right thing. Like, for example, Angel Eyes actually refers to him as Tuco, or the Uglies, guardian angel, and almost right on cue, you hear like this, religious choir music being played in the background, which, pretty much symbolizes him as the Christ character. Also, he sees a soldier, Confederate soldier, dying, and while he's dying, he decides to give him, his last cigarette. So he gives him his actual last cigarette and gives it to him while also giving him his coat. And there are also many times in the movie where he should have killed Tuco for screwing him over, but he doesn't because that's just the kind of guy he is. So even though he has full right to do it, he doesn't. And speaking of Tuco, in my mind, he represents original sin just because he commits every sin under the sun. While he's being read his criminal offenses during his hanging, the list just goes on and on and on, just symbolizing how really bad this guy is. Now, for techniques, since this is one of Leone's pretty much basic things in his movies from what I've seen, he has a lot of drawn-out sequences, looming close-up shots, these epic wide-shot screens that are just spectacular, especially when the movie's over. It just sort of just builds up the whole epicness of the whole film. Also, there's a long, brooding silences going on, particularly during the gunfights. When you're just sitting there, you're just waiting for these guys to shoot each other and just get it over with. And when they finally do get shootings going, it's very majestic. It's almost very beautiful to watch. I mean, the book itself describes it as an opera or pretty much a ballet when it shoots, and I totally agree. By the way, shout out to Flashback. Good book. Now, the way this movie changed filmmaking, I mean, there are so many ways, but I'm just going to pick a few since I only have a few minutes to talk about it. First of all, there's the theme music. I mean, It's just epic. I'm sure you guys have heard it no matter what. Even if you've never seen this movie, you've heard this film. I'm sorry, not the film, the actual music. And I mean, it's so popular that it's bled over into other movies, other TV shows, even cartoons have played this. It's that music that just describes that classic standoff between characters. Hell, I was just watching Two and a Half Men 2 weeks ago, and two characters were standing to each other, and their music played in the background. You know, I'd whistle it for you, but I can't whistle. So just go on YouTube and just look up the theme. You'll, trust me, once you'll hear it, the memories will start flooding back to you. Also, like I said, the movie did expand the Western genre, particularly by creating the subgenre, which is called spaghetti westerns. And no, it has nothing to do with meatballs or pasta or anything. And I know you guys were thinking that too, so that's not it. No, spaghetti westerns are actually just Western movies that, instead of being made in America, were actually being produced by Italians. Now, since the landscape out there in parts of Italy and Spain actually resembled, I guess, the Wild West in itself, they were much easier to shoot. So that's pretty much what they did. I mean, pretty much once The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly came out, it was just an explosion of spaghetti westerns. There were so many, particularly in between the 1960s and 1980s. I mean, you got movies like The Great Silence, you got A Bullet for a General, Navajo Joe, Get Down Sucker. I mean, even the more recent film, Django Unchained, is a spaghetti western. There's no denying it. If you've seen other spaghetti westerns, you'll see the same pattern in these films. Also, this film pretty much launched the career of Clint Eastwood. Now, don't get me wrong, Clint Eastwood was doing his thing in the TV series Rawhide during the early 60s, but it wasn't until the mid-60s when he started shooting these films that he really, really got his jump. I mean, after the success of all these movies, you know, directed by Leone, it was just an open gate for him. After that, you get all the great movies you've seen with him, like Escape from Alcatraz, Million Dollar Baby. You got the Dirty Harry series. Even that Every Which Way But Loose, even that was a silly film, and it still became very popular. So Clint Eastwood got his start thanks to these movies. So, also, this film also was a big influence on Quentin Tarantino, which I'm sure you've all seen one of his many movies, which includes Django Unchained. He pretty much calls The Good and the Bad and the Ugly one of the greatest films ever, and you can tell throughout almost all of his movies there's some kind of spaghetti western thing going on in there. You know, you probably didn't even realize it, but if you watch a few films, then you'll see it. So, in conclusion, so like I'm saying, if you guys haven't seen this movie, go see it. I would also recommend watching the two movies beforehand, just to complete the set if you're that kind of person. I'm that kind of person. I can't just see one part of a movie if it's got multiple parts. I got to see everything from the beginning to the end. That's just who I am. So, like I said, the movie was just really great. It, pretty much exploded the entire Western genre and redefined it, and just overall, just a really badass movie. So that's all the time I have for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed my vlog project, and see you guys in the movies.